1938 begins with a restless Europe. The shocks of the previous year have unsettled the world. But the greatest tests are still to come. In Germany, Adolf Hitler is preparing his next move. March 1938. German troops cross the Austrian border. There is no resistance. The event becomes known as the Anschluss. Austria is absorbed into the German Reich. In Berlin, there is celebration. In Vienna, the reaction is mixed enthusiasm for some, fear for others. For Europe, it is another warning sign. Britain and France issue protests but take no military action. Hitler draws a clear conclusion. The West is not prepared to fight. His attention now turns to Czechoslovakia. In the Sudetenland region live more than 3 million ethnic Germans. Hitler claims they are being mistreated. German propaganda works relentlessly, amplifying grievances and stirring unrest. Tensions rise. By September 1938, Europe stands once again on the brink of war. A conference is convened in Munich. Present are Britain's Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, France's leader Édouard Daladier, Italy's Benito Mussolini, and Adolf Hitler. Czechoslovakia itself is not invited. The outcome is decisive. The Sudetenland is handed over to Germany. Chamberlain returns to London proclaiming peace for our time, but the peace will prove fragile. Far from restraining Hitler, the agreement strengthens his resolve. Another compromise has been made, and with each compromise, war moves. Meanwhile, in Asia, Japan continues its expansion across China. The conflict grows more brutal by the month. The League of Nations proves powerless to intervene. The United States remains committed to isolation, yet the world is slowly dividing into opposing camps. On one side, the Axis powers. On the other, those who will eventually resist them. By the end of 1938, one truth is becoming clear. Peace survives only in words. The storm is still gathering. If you'd like, I can now continue with 1939, the outbreak of war, write a focused episode on Hitler, Stalin, or Japan, add a sponsor segment in the same documentary tone, or create a full multi-episode scripted series outline what year or event should we cover next. 2,000-word key do here is a approximately 2,000-word documentary-style script in the same serious, chronological tone. 1938, the collapse of illusion. The year 1938 opens in uneasy silence. The crises of the previous years have shaken confidence in the international order. The League of Nations has failed to prevent aggression in Manchuria, in Ethiopia, and in Spain. Treaties once thought sacred have been revised, ignored, or openly torn apart. Yet many still cling to the belief that a general European war can be avoided. In Berlin, Adolf Hitler believes time is on his side. Germany's rearmament program is transforming the nation. Factories run day and night. Highways stretch across the countryside. The Luftwaffe expands in secrecy and speed. The Wehrmacht grows more confident with each passing month. Economic pressures remain, but political opposition has been crushed. The regime's grip appears secure. Hitler's next objective is clear: Austria. For years, he has insisted that all Germans must be united within one Reich. The idea of Union Anschluss has powerful emotional appeal. Many Austrians share language, culture, and history with Germany. Yet Austria is also an independent state, protected in theory by international agreements designed to preserve European balance. In February 1938, Austrian Chancellor Kurt Schuschnigg travels to meet Hitler at Berchtesgaden. The meeting is not a negotiation, it is an ultimatum. Hitler demands that Austrian Nazis be given key government positions. Under intense pressure, Schuschnigg concedes, but he attempts one final gamble. In March, he announces a national plebiscite, hoping a public vote will demonstrate Austria's desire to remain independent. Hitler reacts immediately. On the 12th of March 1938, German troops cross the Austrian border. They encounter no resistance. Many are greeted by cheering crowds. Others watch in silence, uncertain of what lies ahead. Within days, Austria ceases to exist as a sovereign state. It is absorbed into the German Reich. The annexation is presented as the fulfillment of national destiny. A carefully managed plebiscite in April records overwhelming support, though conducted under conditions that allow little room for dissent. The response abroad is muted. Britain and France issue formal protests, but neither government is prepared to contemplate war over Austria. Many observers argue that Germans have merely united with Germans, Some even suggest that the post-1919 settlement was flawed to begin with. Hitler draws a powerful lesson. Risk has brought reward. His next target lies to the east, Czechoslovakia. Unlike Austria, Czechoslovakia is a functioning democracy with a modern army and strong border fortifications. It was created after the First World War and includes significant ethnic minorities, among them more than 3 million Germans living in the Sudetenland, along the frontier with Germany. Throughout the spring and summer of 1938, German propaganda intensifies. The Sudeten German Party, led by Konrad Henlein, demands autonomy and amplifies claims of discrimination. Berlin broadcasts stories of injustice, whether verified or fabricated. Tensions mount within Czechoslovakia's borders. For Prague, the situation is perilous. The country has mutual assistance treaties with France and the Soviet Union, but French politics are divided and fragile. Britain has no formal obligation to defend Czechoslovakia, and distrust between Western powers and the Soviet Union complicates any coordinated response. In May, a war scare erupts when reports suggest German troop movements near the border. Czechoslovakia mobilizes partially. France signals support. Germany denies immediate intentions. For a moment, it appears that firm resistance may check Hitler's ambitions, but the crisis subsides. Over the summer, diplomatic efforts intensify. Britain sends Lord Runciman to mediate between Prague and the Sudeten Germans. His mission drags on, while Germany prepares for a potential military solution. By September 1938, the atmosphere across Europe is electric with anxiety. Air raid precautions are tested in London. Gas masks are distributed. Memories of the trenches of 1914-18 remain vivid in the public imagination. Few wish to relive such devastation. On the 15th of September, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain flies to meet Hitler at Berchtesgaden, the first time a British Premier has flown to negotiate with a foreign leader. Chamberlain believes that reasonable concessions may preserve peace. Hitler insists that the Sudetenland must be transferred to Germany. Chamberlain returns to London and persuades his cabinet that cession of predominantly German areas may be unavoidable. A second meeting follows at Bad Godesberg, but Hitler escalates his demands, insisting on immediate occupation. The tone is harsher. The risk of war rises sharply. Europe braces for conflict. Then, in a final effort to avert catastrophe, a four-power conference is convened in Munich. On the 29th to the 30th of September 1938, Germany, Italy, Britain, and France meet. Czechoslovakia is not invited to participate in the decisive discussions concerning its own territory. The resulting Munich Agreement grants the Sudetenland to Germany. The transfer will occur in stages over the coming weeks. Chamberlain returns to Britain declaring that he has secured peace for our time. Crowds greet him with relief. Many believe war has been avoided. In France, there is similar relief, tempered by unease. For Czechoslovakia, the consequences are severe. The loss of the Sudetenland strips away vital defensive fortifications and industrial resources. The state is left weakened and vulnerable. For Hitler, Munich confirms his conviction that the Western democracies lack the will to fight. Yet events within Germany soon take a darker turn. In November 1938, following the assassination of a German diplomat in Paris by a young Jewish refugee, the Nazi regime unleashes a coordinated wave of violence against Jewish communities. Synagogues burn across Germany and Austria. Jewish businesses are smashed and looted. Thousands of Jewish men are arrested and sent to concentration camps. The night becomes known as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. It marks a decisive escalation in the regime's persecution of Jews, transforming discrimination into open, organized brutality. International condemnation follows, but once again, practical action is limited. Refugee quotas remain restrictive. Sympathy does not translate into sanctuary for most victims. Beyond Europe, 1938 is also a year of deepening conflict in Asia. Since the outbreak of full-scale war between China and Japan in 1937, fighting has intensified. Japanese forces push deeper into Chinese territory, capturing major cities and strategic railways. The Chinese government, led by Chiang Kai-shek, retreats inland, determined to continue resistance. The brutality of the conflict shocks observers. Civilian populations suffer from bombing, massacre, and displacement. Yet foreign powers, preoccupied with European tensions, hesitate to intervene directly. Japan, increasingly dominated by military leadership, sees expansion as essential for security and access to resources. Economic pressures and nationalist ideology reinforce the drive for empire. The global order appears to be fragmenting. In Italy, Benito Mussolini aligns ever more closely with Germany. The Rhombolin axis strengthens diplomatic and military ties. Italy's intervention in the Spanish Civil War continues, supporting General Francisco Franco's nationalists against the Republican government. Spain itself remains locked in bitter struggle. By 1938, the tide has turned decisively in favor of Franco. Republican forces, divided internally and strained by limited